Okay, just ignore the way I sound and I look. I'm sick with a cold. But last night I had the weirdest dream. So having weird dreams is not uncommon for me. It's very normal for me to have weird or vivid, very detailed dreams. It's just normal for me. But so last night, now I was like doom scrolling in TikTok, and my For You page became all of this weird, like paranormal experiences, seeing like skinwalkers and all this weird stuff. And it was just interesting how all of a sudden it was all of that. And by the time I went to sleep, I did take a bunch of decongestant, like the sleepy time stuff, so that I could sleep. And the dream was that I was with a bunch of people, like 5 or 6 or more people that I supposedly knew that were my friends, and we were all interested in weird stuff, like what I was doom scrolling on TikTok. And while I am interested in the supernatural, paranormal, psychic abilities and all of that, this dream was particularly weird because we were a group of people that had a very strong will. Like our energy was just very powerful. It's hard to explain. It's just like, you know, you're around some people and they're so sturdy, and I don't know. It's hard to explain. But it was just so weird in the dream, because usually in a dream, like, people are just more laid back. They're not as real, I guess. It was almost like I was dreaming a dream with a bunch of actual other people in the same dream. Okay, so we rent this house that we're staying at, and we're doing some kind of, you know, weird paranormal investigation. The house is supposedly haunted, and there is a mirror on the wall that is rumored to be a portal to the space in between reality and whatever else is there. And we figure out how to go there, and like the landlord or something of the house like knew about it and was like, you can go there, but if you see people, don't touch them, don't let them touch you. They won't see you, but if they touch you or you touch them, they will see you, and they will do everything to get out of the in-between and follow you to get out the in-between into our world. And if they come into our reality, because they are not, like, they're a different kind of creature or being that is, you know, in between the physical and the non-physical. So they would be able to do all kinds of weird stuff. Sort of, it was very similar to like a demon. The way the guy was explaining it is that they can possess you, take control of your body, manipulate, like mind control you to make you think you're seeing things that you're not. They shape shift into, like, you know, they're mainly like a blob that's just like, you know, can look however they want it to. And yeah, it was just freaky. But so we are in this in-between world, and you can't really see anything. It's just like this smoky kind of white, sort of foggy, but not like a dense fog. But it's just like there was nothing there except the occasional people that you'd see just walking in a straight line, fast or slowly, and then they would stop and then like walk in another direction, and they all seemed very unaware of anyone else being there or anything being there. They were just moving, walking around aimlessly, sort of like sleepwalking. Now, I'm making sure that I'm not touching anyone, but this guy who was following close to me, he accidentally gets touched by one that walks into him, And when that happens, it was a female looking person, and apparently it didn't, like, it just appeared to us to be people, but it was just like our minds creating something familiar of what a being looks like, right? But so when she runs into him, he stumbles and pulls me back a little bit because he had like his hand on my shoulder, like he was nervous about being there and was, you know, clinging to me. But so I kind of, you know, stumble back, and I'm trying to like take his weight because he's also sort of moving, you know, as the, like, she was walking quickly, so she kind of like just knocks into him, and he moves real quick. And it was freaky because when I turn, I see her, the being, you know, it hits, and then there's like all of a sudden this big giant, like, creepy smile, the big, like, most expressive creepy smile that you could ever see, like, totally completely scary. And looking in the direction of where because she put her hands out and felt him, and I had to like pull him away so that she wouldn't grab at him. But then she was, you know, going in the direction, trying to keep grabbing at him, and I was just like, fuck, like, we got to get out of here. And so we're running back towards the the mirror to get back into our world. And I'm really like following him because I remember I said they won't be able to see the mirror. We need to sneak back in it all together. And once we, you know, everybody goes back through it that came through, then it would disappear in the in-between place. But she gets through because he runs through it, and I'm chasing after him like, no, we gotta wait. And she comes in right after me. And we don't actually see her body in our world, but I knew that she came through because it was like sort of like this mist coming through the mirror, and the mirror rippled. And then we just hear this weird voice, and a lot of crap starts happening, like demonic activity. And he's saying that no, she didn't get through. He was very adamant and did not want to take responsibility for what happened. And I was like, yes, it did. But they all believed, the rest of our friends believed him rather than me, which, you know, obviously that frustrated me. But I ended up having to ignore it and just try to be quietly terrified. So we're all trying to go to sleep, but I can't sleep. So I ended up not sleeping. And then later in the day, you know, nothing's happened. And I'm like, well, maybe she just kind of went out into the world to do stuff, right? And is away from us, and we won't have to deal with it, other people will. So I'm finally feeling at ease, and I'm going to take a nap, and it's like 11 in the morning. And when I'm laying down, I all of a sudden feel like the bed is grabbing me, making it so that I can't move. And I'm frozen in terror, and I can't say anything because I'm frozen in terror for a minute until I finally say, can y'all come over here? And they were all talking in the kitchen, and I had to kind of like scream, you know, please, y'all, please come over here. Something is wrong. And they come over to the bed, and of course the thing releases me because it somehow can get like in the bed, like possess the bed, and then it was like sucking me in it. But it was just freaking scary and scared me. And I hadn't slept a wink that night, so I was tired, and I, you know, keep trying to stay with my friends. For some reason, this being thinks that it's funny to mess with me now, so I am the target. And throughout the day, things keep happening. They don't believe me because the being creature is, you know, smart enough to do it when nobody's looking or will notice except me. And it took a long time for them to believe that something was going on. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but I was like, it was nighttime again, and I was going to sleep in this bed that I was, somebody else was sleeping in the bed with me too, but the guy who freaked out and, you know, ran through the mirror when you weren't supposed to, he was sitting in a chair next to the bed reading a book with a light on, and that light and the kitchen light was the only lights that were on. And this was like a studio kind of apartment situation with a loft that had just, the entire floor was just like a mattress that was like giant size that 4 people could sleep up there. So most everybody else was there, and I was on the downstairs with him and this other girl. And I'm like, maybe I can finally go to sleep because I have other people around me. So I do sleep. But then I wake up because we all wake up because he's freaking the hell out. Just having like a full-blown like psychosis or something. Just yelling and screaming and talking gibberish and saying, you know, get the demon out of me. And I'm like, oh, frick. The thing is possessing him. And while I'm glad it's not possessing me and messing with me, you know, I'm very upset for him, and we're all trying to, you know, figure out how to deal with this. It's nothing we've ever dealt with before because it's a creature from, you know, that's this in-between place that is made out of whatever in between, you know, the physical and non-physical. We didn't know what to do. We're trying to call people for help. The landlord is like, no, I'm not, for the life of me am I dealing anything with this. This is you guys' problem. And he was even threatening to sue us and stuff. But so the demon takes control of the entire like house, like shutting off the electricity, the power, locking the doors so that we can't get out. And all the while, what we didn't know is that this demon thing was having fun and thought that this was fun and had never experienced anything before. And this was just its way of exploring how to interact with other beings because it had never interacted with any other intelligent being before. Now, I don't remember how I came to this conclusion, but it just seemed obvious to me that this is what's going on. And I'm the only one that's trying to talk to the demon. So I'm, you know, talking to it, whereas everybody else is, you know, trying to like excise it or whatever. And I'm just the whole entire time talking about, you know, just, you know, this isn't nice. We don't like it. And trying to explain that, you know, basic human decency. You do unto others the way you want to be done to you. And it took a while for the entity to understand that there are ways that we can have control over it. Because I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's like when you have a strong will, you have control over the, you know, ghosts and whatever. You attract to yourself what it is that your energy is. So if you're a high energy being, not high as in excited, like higher frequency, then the spirits you're going to attract are going to be higher frequency and, you know, not the demonic or scary stuff that are attracted to the lower frequency sadness, depression, which is a lower frequency living. And so I was just trying the whole time to keep my frequency high, stay calm, confident, and, you know, sturdy, steady, confident, you know, not playing into the fear, because fear is lower energy. And the spirit finally caught on to what I was doing. and then was trying to possess me. And I could see it was making itself appear to be like having this tail that was sort of like in between, having like scales from a snake and having a weird skin. It's hard to explain. And it was like purpley and black and green. I don't know, just creepy colors, right? And like its long tail, trying to like whip at me. But while it could kind of, touch me, it couldn't have power over me. So it was sort of like just kind of like bouncing off of me, like, like it couldn't actually like push me. And so, the creature tried more and more to mess with me then, and then eventually left the guy and was focusing solely on me now because I had changed, my demeanor. I wasn't scared. I wasn't, I was actually fighting this creature. And eventually, and warning for this, but I'm going to try and say it as, I don't want to get demonetized, but the creature also was figuring out human anatomy and figured out that women have a large hole down yonder that goes up to the uterus. And that was the only way that it could enter my body, and then it could hold itself inside my uterus. And did this. I don't know how I didn't notice, because there was like this big commotion, and it was so chaotic that I felt something happen. And I guess I was kind of in denial about it. And we were all looking around and like, it's gone. But I hear the voice of it still, and they don't. And and it was like, I'm inside you. And I'm like, no, you can't be inside me. You haven't been able to get inside me. And I was in denial about it. And the spirit being whatever, was like, yeah, I came in through that way. And so of course I'm like, oh shit. Like, this thing got smart. But, it may be in there, but, I'm not going to let it be able to do anything. So it can go in, it can come out, and that's it. It can't do anything to me while being in there or outside of me. It realizes this and is like, well, there's no point to this. So it comes out, but still leaves part of it inside of me, because it thinks, well, maybe this will freak me out. Because the entire time it's just trying to get a reaction out of me, trying to make control my emotions, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. But so that entire time, I'm learning how to interact with it, and I'm learning how to touch it and have control over it with my energy. Because we actually have more power over it than it does over us, even though it's in between the material and immaterial. We as humans are spirit, the immaterial, inside the material body, joined together. That's what makes us people. So you can think of it as like we're ghosts inhabiting bodies, if you want to. So somehow or another, it figures out, clicks finally, that it does not actually have as much power as it thinks. It has power over things. But if people keep their energy up, vibration up, then they have complete control over it. And that was sort of like an existential crisis for it. It was like, hold up, like, oh shit. I need to pay more attention to what's the dynamic is of people-to-people interaction. So then once it decides to do that, it starts listening to me and I could communicate it to it with my thoughts as it was touching me. And so I was teaching it basically, reminding it of all the things I was saying. And it was like, oh, okay. So, just everything was clicking, not all at once, but, slowly and gradually. And all my, the friends, like we were all packing up to leave because we could finally, leave the house. And I'm one of the last people to exit because I've been, trying to reason with this entity to, get it to not be a stupid prankster, whatever. And it finally figures it out. And when I go outside and everybody's can see the creature had exited my body and was just looking outside and seeing all of them and, just finally feeling empathy and like, oh my goodness, like I would hate for that to have been done to me. Like, I'm just so sorry. And of course they're all scared, but the entity is now scared that, it can be harmed and it can be like put back into, the place where there's nothing. So, it apologizes to me. It's been, I'm going to start calling it she because it was presenting as female. From that point on, it made itself appear to be in a female shape, wearing a floor-length dress that sort of poofed out like a Victorian dress. And it was just like a blob of purple, black, and blue. And I remember it somehow could like just take information that we knew. So it like just had all that information all at once. And I guess, processes it really quickly. I don't know. But so it, gets down on its knees, apologizes to me, apologizes to everyone else. And I hug it. Its head is much bigger than natural. And it felt really weird and squishy because it wasn't physical, but it wasn't non-physical. It was weird. But so yeah, it apologizes and it is now scared to be in this world. And I'm like, well, we can remain companions and help each other. If, you are committed to acting, in a cordial, friendly, according to the golden rule kind of way. And it emphatically agrees, or she emphatically agrees. And so I'm like, okay, we'll be companions. And when we made that agreement, it was so weird because it was like she merged with my body. And we were one person, although she could reach out with her body to do things to help me. Like, I remember I almost tripped in this mall and it grabbed out like a tentacle and grabbed something to hold me like from falling. And we would talk to each other, and interact. And it was like a really great symbiotic relationship. But the longer and longer it went on, the less and less she talked. And the more and more I could feel that she was becoming part of me, like I was absorbing her and her self was disappearing. And it got to the point where she could not even speak anymore. And it was me that was using her body to do stuff and things, and I was really sad that this was happening and didn't understand why, of course. And, people, I talked to people and, there was someone who thought that maybe, this colleague that they knew could, help me. And, but by the time I was able to meet up with them, she had no voice anymore. She couldn't do things on her own much. I had to do it. I had control over her body, and I don't know, it was just really sad. And then I woke up and I was like, wow, what the heck? What is that? What is this dream? What was that being? Was it actually sentient or was it not sentient? I have no idea. Has anybody ever, like, internet, please tell me what you think about this. Has anyone had a similar dream or experience? Would love to know.